The Technoblade vs Dream fight happened recently and everyone is trying to speculate who won the duel, but I personally have been wondering, who betrayed Technoblade? If you don't know what I mean by this, stick around because I'll explain the whole situation and we can analyze all the information we have to see if we can solve the mystery of who betrayed Technoblade. But before I get into the video, please consider subscribing if you do enjoy videos like this. And now, let's get straight into the video. So, what am I even talking about? So, on Twitter, Technoblade tweeted out saying, "Dream just told me the IGN of the alt account I bought 3 days ago, and I didn't tell anyone about it." This is probably pretty shocking news for Techno to hear from Dream, but the real question is, how he knew this. There are many possibilities on how Dream could have gotten this information. So let's look at all the possible ways that this information could have been obtained. The first way he could have gotten this information was through another YouTuber. If you didn't know, Dream and Techno both trained with a bunch of other YouTubers in preparation for the big fight. Techno tweeted out saying, "The Mr. Beast duel thing is today, though the results won't be out until the video. Shout out to Fruitberry, Calvin, and Tapple for helping me train. Truthfully, I'm very stressed to be fighting in front of such a large audience, but I hope I'll play well. Send me your energy." Then, on the other side, Dream tweeted out saying, "I fought Calvin, Fruitberry, Wisp, Purpled, Puns, Skeppy, and Fire Breathman, and more on 1.8, and I did a lot of practice on both 1.8 and 1.16. Hopefully it pays off, but we will see." So the two people that both trained Techno and Dream were Calvin and Fruitberries. So for now, let's try to deduce from these two options whether it was Calvin or Fruitberries who exposed him. So looking at Calvin, it seems that Techno and Calvin have been friends for a pretty long time. In the Minecraft Monday where everything got cancelled and the event was hacked, many of the contestants moved to the Hypixel where they played a bunch of minigames. Techno actually ended up inviting Calvin to play with them even though Calvin didn't even have the YouTube rank at that point and wasn't even in the event. Calvin was a pretty small YouTuber at that point in time, so Techno knowing and inviting Calvin to play shows that they've been friends for a pretty long time. On the other hand, with Fruitberries, Techno just asked him to 1v1 while Fruit was streaming, and that is mainly the first time they have interacted with each other personally. Fruit also only added Techno as a friend on Discord that same day, so it's safe to assume they didn't know each other personally for too long. So this must mean that Fruit betrayed Techno, right? Actually no. When rereading the tweet, it says that he didn't tell anyone the name of the alt. If this is true, there would be no way for someone to betray him as he never told anyone. Personally, I believe that he told at least a few people, but if you take what he said as fact, it doesn't seem like there's a way for him to find out the name of Techno's alt. But after thinking about this for a pretty long time, I think I have determined how Dream was able to find this information. This might not be correct, but if Techno wasn't lying about not telling anyone, this is the only way I could think he could find out. So, let me start from the basics so you can get an idea of what I'm going to talk about. So, if you didn't know already, whenever you join a Minecraft server, the server is given access to your IP address. Without it, there would be no way for the server to transmit data to your client. This is the same way websites work. If not, they wouldn't know who to send each specific data to. An IP address holds a lot of information about a person, but the main thing that interests us is the fact that it always is the same if you play on the same Wi-Fi network. Say you and your sibling take turns playing on a server on your own computer. The server owner can see from your IP address that two different accounts are logging onto said server from one IP. I think you can see where this is going. It might be a stretch, but it is possible that Dream was able to find Techno's IP address and use it to determine his alt account. But how might he have gotten this info? My theory is that he got it from asking a server owner directly. But the question is, which server owner? On Techno's tweet about Dream knowing his alt account's name, Bad Boy Halo replied saying, "Knowledge of the enemy's dispositions can only be obtained from another man. Sun Tzu." I could be looking too much into this, but this is hinting that someone betrayed him and told Dream. The one server owner that I know is friends with Dream and Technoblade is Skeppy. It's possible that Dream asked Skeppy to look at Techno's IP and use it to find any other accounts that logged in with said IP. It is also possible that Dream just contacted one of the server owners of a few other popular PvP servers and asked them to see if any other accounts logged in with the same IP. Now, let's create a list of each possible server that he could have been on and try to deduce which server it might have been. First, we have Invaded Lands. This is Skeppy's server, so that's pretty self-explanatory. Then we have MunchieMC. That's Bad Boy Halo's server, so that's also pretty self-explanatory. Techno said himself that him and Fruitberries were actually practicing on CubeCraft for 1.9 PvP, so that is another server we can put on the list. They ended up switching to a server named PvP Legacy, as it is a North American server, so they can get better ping, so we can also add that to the list. I also have to mention the biggest server of all, Hypixel. I'm sure Techno at least practiced on Hypixel a few times, so we definitely have to add that to the list. Techno also mentioned that Tapple trained him a bit, so it's also possible that he played on Tapple's server at least a little bit. So now let's try to analyze it. So first, Techno didn't really play too much or practice too much 1.8 PvP since he's pretty well versed in it, so I would remove Invaded and MunchieMC from the list. I also doubt Dream would be able to contact Simon, the owner of Hypixel, and even if he can, Simon has personally supported Techno before he even had 100,000 subscribers, so I don't think Simon would ever betray him. So now we are left with 3 servers, CubeCraft, PvP Legacy, and Tapple server. I'm going to be honest with you, it is very hard to determine who could be the culprit out of these 3 servers. Obviously, none of them could be the culprit, but out of the 3, it is very hard to determine which one it might be. But let's see what we can do. For CubeCraft, they are an official Minecraft partner and a pretty popular server. Because of these 2 things, I don't believe they would be willing to give any of this private info to Dream. For PvP Legacy, it is actually possible that they would give the info to Dream. I still see it as unlikely because Dream doesn't know them personally, but it definitely does have the possibility of happening since they are a very small server. Finally, it is equally as possible that Tapple might have given the info to Dream, but since Techno and Tapple are very good friends, I don't think he would. Tapple's server is also 1.8, and I don't really think Techno is trying to hide his 1.8 skills, so that makes it even less likely. But remember, this is still a huge assumption. In the end, we might never know how Dream was able to get the information of Technoblade's secret alt. And this is the unsolved mystery of Techno's betrayal. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to support the channel. And that's all I've got for you today. So, goodbye.